Money never sleeps, pal.
Hey there, I'm Pete Townsend, and this is Money Never Sleeps. We look inside the minds of entrepreneurs and at the crossover of startups, enterprise, finance, technology, and life as we know it. Before we get started, just a heads up that ETH Dublin is back again to bring Ireland on chain with a hackathon and conference this May 23rd to 25th. The ETH Dublin team have confirmed that Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin and Avara's founder and CEO Stani Kulichov will both be speaking at ETH Dublin that weekend. It's shaping up to be a pretty fantastic crypto weekend here in Dublin, and absolutely one not to miss. This week, I'm joined by the brilliant and always insightful Laura Walsh for a fast-paced spin through the wild intersection of crypto, global politics, and the ever-expanding world of digital assets. We unpack Larry Fink's latest comments on Bitcoin potentially challenging the dollar, the growing stablecoin frenzy, and how institutions are warming up to Web3. It's part economic deep dive, part therapy session, and absolutely worth the ride. And speaking of Web3, if you're in Ireland and want to keep these convos going in real life, join us for Crypto Mondays Ireland on April 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Toners in Dublin, powered by Techstars and Solana Super Team Ireland. I'll be hosting a fireside chat with Alejandro Gutierrez to unveil what Solana's got planned for Ireland. It should be a big one. The link to register on Luma is in the show notes for this episode on moneyneversleeps.ie, so sign up there and I hope to see you there. So let's get into it with Laura Walsh, all right here on Money Never Sleeps.
Money never sleeps, pal.
Laura Walsh, how are you?
I am okay. We have not been annexed yet, so all good up here in Canada.
Well, it varies from the great parking lot to the north to the other side, which is the deluxe apartment above the Crystal Meth Lab, right?
Exactly. Or I think it was Pierre Elliott Trudeau, not most recent PM who resigned. It's his father who said it's the elephant sleeping next to the mouse, and every time that elephant rolls over, you have to react.
Yes, you do. You do. Yeah, tons going on right now between Canada and US relations, but it just feels like a difference. For me, being over here in Ireland, it's just a different perspective. I've been gone for 20 years. I feel more Irish at this stage than American, or definitely have a different perspective, but you're hanging in there, which is wonderful.
And it's election time. We're having our own federal election right now. And it's April Fool's Day, so happy April Fool's Day. I will not do any jokes on you. But yeah, it's one day to what the Trump administration is calling Liberation Day, which is apparently Reciprocal Tariff Day. So we have that to look forward to. So it's just, treats all around.
Absolutely. By this time this goes live, we may have a whole new global landscape that's shaping up.
So now politics is turning into crypto in a way, and the way the industry moves and changes, how we say just blink. You can't, news is old in a day. I mean, the way the political landscape is going, now politics is moving at the speed of the Web3 industry.
It is. And there's some of the, rewriting history that is, well, listen, this platform doesn't matter anymore. This platform is non-existent. So
what? Yeah.
But the crossover here is Sam Williams from Arweave. The whole reason he created the Arweave protocol was to avoid the memory hole, which is history being rewritten. And so there's some crossover here between 1984, which some of this feels like, as well as crypto and politics and world relations, which is, the world is on fire right now. We're about to be
It's a mashup.
It is.
It's like the worst mashup ever. I'm sorry. It's terrible. It's like, this mashup is just dog doo-doo. It's not great. It's not a great one.
I know. But on the note of kind of global dominance, which we think one individual may be pursuing that agenda. But in terms of global dominance, this is something that I picked up on that I just saw yesterday coming out of CoinDesk, and that it was on our friend Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock. His statement in the periodic shareholder letter, the BlackRock shareholders in their funds, is that Bitcoin could threaten dollar's reserve currency status. And basically saying, to quote him, he said, the US has benefited from the dollar serving as the world's reserve currency for decades. And again, Fink said this in his annual letter to shareholders. but that's not guaranteed to last forever. If the US doesn't get its debt under control, if deficits keep ballooning, America risks losing that position to digital assets like Bitcoin, suggesting that Bitcoin could become the world's reserve currency. People talk about that in this space, and perhaps there's a ton of Bitcoin maxis who want that to happen, but we're a long way from that.
How logistically does that even work with a limited supply? Do we just keep dividing everything down into sats, like very small, decimal points down? Because and you can't, the whole point of Bitcoin is you can't make any more.
You can't.
You're not supposed to be making any more. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, of course we can in some way, but purists would say no. And purists would also say, to be perfectly honest, it's HODL. It's you hold, you don't spend.
Yep.
So all of this is just, everything evolves. But what exactly, I would think this would almost come down to the core of what is Bitcoin now? What is it?
But is it, if you think about the world's, reserve asset, what do you do with the world's reserve asset? You use it as collateral.
Yes.
Don't you? And to create more money out of it. And that has been one of the shortcomings of Bitcoin, is that it's been difficult to use it as collateral for things.
It's too volatile.
And maybe over time that volatility will even out, but we've been saying that for years. But if Bitcoin is used as collateral on a wider stage, we've seen a number of innovations come to market over the last year, like Babylon and like, 0x Bridge coming to market through the Techstars Web3 Accelerator cohort from this year. Is there a way for, and this is totally down to leverage, is for the limited Bitcoin supply to be a base of more value creation, more money creation, asset creation? And that the reserve model that every bank uses around the world, not every single bank, but the vast majority of banks, which is that, hey, 10 to 12% of your deposit base remains in the bank. The rest gets lent out. Again, I think I'm going towards a macroeconomic whiteboard discussion that I'm not prepared to have today.
Yeah, but there's so many variables to this and just so much. I'm not an economist, so I'm not even going to wade into that. But just one point, where are you getting the supply? Are you going to Michael Saylor? Are you using ETFs? What are you do? Where are you getting? And is it wrapped Bitcoin? Is it? So many questions. Are they the hard asset? Is it actually BTC? Is it WBTC? Is it, what chain is it on? Is it on is it Bitcoin? Do you see what I mean? Like how deep are you going down into it? Or are you just going, oh, we're using all of Saylor's tokens and that's why he's buying them. That's why it's not MicroStrategy anymore. It's Strategy. That's why Strategy is holding and hoarding, hoarding. I'm going to use that word, hoarding, because maybe he sees this coming, or he is really hedging a lot of bets on this is coming. So he wants to be in that position. I just don't understand.
I know.
Well, I can't, because I can't say I know what's happening because there's no visibility.
I'm thinking of an analogy here, but I am not going to pursue that because I'm wading into technical waters here that, without my floaties. So I'm going to, but
need my pool noodle.
But in terms of Larry Fink himself, he's, developed his mindset over the years. As early as 2017, he referred to Bitcoin as an index of money laundering, where there was concerns around its association with illicit activities. And that in 2018, and I kind of remember being around at this point, where there was a BlackRock person speaking at an Irish funds industry event back around the 2018 timeframe, and where this is exactly the sentiment that was expressed, where he stated that BlackRock's clients had zero interest in cryptocurrencies, indicating a lack of institutional demand at the time. And I remember someone from BlackRock saying that at this meeting back in 2018. But things have moved on since then, right? In 2023, we started with them filing their application for the Bitcoin ETF as well as Ethereum ETF. So I think in the same way that when you think about global macro funds, asset allocation funds, where the economic advisors of these big, huge institutional investment funds and or pension funds are saying, listen, this is an asset class that
Yep.
is important to the global economy and is growing in importance. And this is something that you should allocate to. And so do that in the easiest way possible, hence ETFs, right?
Yep.
Exchange traded instruments are strongly
Mhm.
preferred by institutional investors rather than off exchange assets. So the story has developed, but I don't think just seeing that in the shareholder
Mm.
letter that Larry Fink wrote about, yes, of course. And I talked to Hugh McGurr about this, and Hugh McGurr talks about about the US dollar losing its dominance. And I
Mm.
think that is happening to an extent. We had a proposition from somebody this time around where their entire proposition was based upon the US dollar losing its dominance around the world.
Wow.
But in reality, as of right now, 85% of the world's, or something ridiculously high percentage like that, 85% of the world's commercial transactions, B2B, take place in the US dollar, are contracted in the US dollar. So
Yep.
we are a long way away from that being done in Bitcoin.
Well, if the BRICS countries didn't, haven't they been talking about this for the past? I would, I'm just going to estimate and throw a number out there. I don't think it's been a decade, but, a handful of years, at least 5 years, they've been talking about replacing USD as reserve currency and not using it as a means of settlement as well in the BRICS countries. So, I mean, this is not a new, concept, let's say, but I mean, I could be a bit cynical about this because Trump just signed the SBR, executive order. So I can put on a cynical hat and say, yeah, there's a reason he's saying this, either because he has to play both sides of this.
He does. It's
He has
family.
to play both
It's family
sides.
wealth now that is at
Yep.
risk with everything that the Trump family are doing in crypto.
God, we've already touched on this about his meme coins and everything, but the World Liberty Fi is just a whole other level of, I mean, this is just, ways to be perfectly blunt, so ways to get around, foreign contributions.
Yep.
It's pay to play. So it's pay to play, pay for access, pay for influence. So, but Don Jr. was on now. I don't watch Fox News. I don't even think we can get it here. Or no, I think we can get it in Canada. I'm not sure. But we don't, it's not carried on any channels here. But I saw it on social media how he was on Fox this morning crying to some lady that cancel culture led him to crypto. And it's because Capital One had quote unquote debanked him and also had debanked his stepmother, Melania. So, but he was also on there calling, I don't know if he was calling Bitcoin because the clip was very short, so I don't want to take it out of context, but American Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Which again, I'm going to go into hold on, what is this now? Because, and I know Trump has talked about this, that, we want all the Bitcoins made in America, just with American energy, all this stuff. But that, again, goes against the ethos of what Bitcoin is. Either Bitcoin is for everybody or it's for nobody. So it's not supposed to be nationalistic. And not pairing, but really getting intertwined with politics, having crypto, Web3, whatever you want to call it, Bitcoin as well, this deeply wrapped in with one ideology and one type of political ideology, especially, is not what it was about. I'm not going to say I am the Bitcoin expert because I'm not, but I understand enough. And I've been in this long enough to know that it's supposed to be for everybody. It's financial freedom.
It is.
Not, hey, if you're not MAGA, GTFO, don't even bother. So it's a bit grim. I find it grim.
It is. No,
grim.
and it's been
grim.
Almost like a grab and dash, or just something that is like, hey, I'm going to take the topics that I think actually will make some money here, and I'm going to grab it and claim it for my own, and I'm going to run with it. American Bitcoin, mined in America, right?
Yeah, mined. Okay, fine. Mined in America. Your energy is from Canada, so good luck. We're going to name it Canadian Bitcoin and just tick everybody.
Yeah, I know. But this whole creation of stablecoins, and that seeing more and more and more created, we don't need that many. But people are like, we don't need that many L2s. We don't need that many L1s. And it's that, just, whatever blows your hair back.
Let
you want to go do
out.
that,
Okay,
right?
fine. Yeah, fine. Yeah, let it weed out. The cream will rise to the top, so on and so forth. That's great. However, when you are, I don't want to say a ruling family, but I mean, the moniker is fitting right now. When you are the ruling family of a country right now and you're politically controlling everything that happens in that country, and you have your own token issuance vehicle and you're issuing a stable coin that's called USD1 because number one, USD1, and it's backed with, short-term US treasuries, dollar deposits, and other cash equivalents, whatever the hell that means. Because that just could mean, I've named these magic beans cash equivalents.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is that real estate? What is that backed against? And now they're making a stable coin. Why? That's the fourth token they've issued from World Liberty 5.
Because they've seen how much Tether is making on this.
Yeah.
And that
so they've already made 550 million. Now let's get more.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was talking to mom and dad about it yesterday, right? A stable coin, what it's doing is it's providing the convenience of being able to have real-time settlement and move the US dollar all over the world extremely easily. But the price you're paying is that you get no yield off of it, right?
Oh, and you know about the stablecoin legislation coming in.
Yes.
That you can't be paid, any of the holders can't be paid any dividends, which is like, wait, hold on, what? So again, we're favoring or we're rewarding the institutions, not those who are holding the actual asset. They can't get dividends.
Yeah. And in the same time, I can't go buy USYC hash note because I'm an American citizen, right? I can't hold a tokenized treasury being offered by these global platforms like Hashnote, like Ondo Finance. Hopefully that will get sorted out from a market structure perspective. But yeah, there's just so much happening in this space. And it feels like there were times in the past 2 to 3 years where there was a huge uptick and a huge upcycle of activity that was purely innovative, that was, hey, we've unlocked something new in this space. And a bunch of people got behind a good idea. But now we have this political injection of agendas here that just doesn't feel right. But I think the pure capitalist, profit hungry person will slap me in the face and say, Pete, who cares? Crypto's
Free
growing.
markets.
Like it's good. I'm like, all right, we got to see how this plays out in the global stage. And I'm going to be watching it closely, obviously, as I know you
could say free market principles, but I don't feel it's free market. This is manipulated market.
Yeah.
And really quickly, just on the Larry Fink thing, what he sent out and his comments about the digital identity framework and infrastructure. And it's basically, just sounds to me, I know they quote unquote banned CBDCs, but this sounds very CBDC-esque to me.
Oh, yeah.
Like WorldCoin and Scan Your Iris and all this craziness. And that just gave me the ick. I don't like it. I don't.
I kind of know where this is coming from. I had a conversation about this morning. If you want to bring institutions into this space wholeheartedly, they kind of need to know who they're trading with. They don't need to know who they're trading with. They need to know that who they're trading with has been KYC'd or has been identified as meeting the criteria of the trading venue that they've said they're going to set up to do. Now, Coinbase launched their verified pools, which I think is going in that direction, the direction that Aave Arc started going down a couple of years ago. And I don't know what happened with that. I still don't. But I don't think it's 100% digital identity that's required here. It's just knowing that you are in a venue where folks have been whitelisted.
Yeah.
That are trading there. So I think digital identity is one step too far in some instances, but in other instances, those organizations who are trading that venue maybe, hey, fine, here's my identity. You know who I am. I'm JP Morgan, or I'm Fidelity, or I'm whomever. There's a ton to read into on this. And it's what's encouraging for me, at least, is to know that big institutional asset managers want to know more about this because it's important to them and to see where things are going with this. So that was that one. On that note, in terms of institutional asset managers, Fidelity are also planning a stable coin. There wasn't that many details coming out on that one, but what did come out linked to that was that Ondo, as I mentioned before, Ondo are a tokenized treasury platform. They are doing something interesting here. And I think you and I have had conversations on this in the past, Laura, is that okay, tokenized funds. Yeah,
Mm,
wonderful. They can let you, you can move these things around the world, but in reality, there is an old school shareholder register behind it where those holdings
yes.
still need to be reflected. So until we can break
Hmm.
that link, that these things aren't truly tokenized digital assets.
Yeah.
What
No.
Ondo are saying they're going to do is that, listen, I will buy your token. Give me your tokenized treasury fund, and I will give you instant liquidity on it. And then Ondo will wait for that settlement cycle to complete so that they could actually receive the proceeds, because that is the key link here. So the BlackRock Biddle Fund did a podcast with Carlos Domingo from Securitize, and they're providing all the
Mm,
operational infrastructure behind this. And he's like, yeah, it's still kind of old school,
yeah.
infrastructure behind this. So what Ondo are doing in a nutshell is they're saying, listen, we're going to skip all that. If you have a tokenized treasury fund and he listed off all the issuers here: BlackRock, Franklin Templeton,
It's right.
Wisdom Tree,
Yeah.
Wellington Management, and FundBridge Capital, you
Mm,
can sell your tokenized treasury fund asset to Ondo, and they will give you the proceeds of that in real time. And again, it is skipping over this market infrastructure problem of how funds actually trade today. And until we have some market structure bills around this, we are still going to see any tokenized fund still have a big step behind it. If
yeah.
you're available for sale in the US market, if you are available for sale outside of the US, you can
Hmm.
say, listen, this token that I'm selling to you is backed by treasuries. And it's not a fund. It is a token that
Hmm.
is backed by real world assets. And they're running it as a fund, but they're not selling it as a fund. They're selling it as a token. So you can buy into that, whether that's something offered by Ondo through their, I think it's OUSG, I think is the
Yeah.
name of one of their tokenized treasury funds. And then Hashnote, which was recently acquired by
Yeah.
Circle, doing the same thing with their USYC. So, because if I bought it as a US citizen, it would be like me buying shares of a fund, and that fund is not registered with the SEC. So it's off
Yeah. It
limits
says
for me.
lightly regulated. It's lightly regulated because it's still in a regulatory gray area.
Yeah.
But would this not, like, would they not have, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not the best finance person, but would they not have underwriting issues? Could they not potentially lose their shirt on some of this if there's a major volatility swing?
In
Or are
in
they
US
just, are
Treasuries.
they, yes, or are they just immediately swapping it, buy it, sell it? Do you see what I mean? Like, how are they,
Yes.
I guess protecting against a potential loss, and where are they making money on it?
Well, I mean, look at Tether, right?
Yeah.
They take huge deposits in through people who are minting, and investors who are minting the Tether stablecoin, and then they're investing that in any way, shape, or form that they want. These tokenized treasuries, unless they're publishing a daily list of investments and they're totally transparent on that, they could be
Who knows?
90%
Yeah.
treasuries and 10% futures. I saw investment strategies like that in the past that were extremely successful. And they were just called, yield plus funds, where
Mhm.
it was 90% treasuries and 10% futures. And that futures in the S&P 500 gave you a little bit of a bump and
Yeah.
made that seemingly incredibly conservative investment strategy had a little bit of risk on top of it that would give a better return than your traditional money market fund or something like that. So they could be doing that with these things. There's
But it would
no,
need scale, correct? It would need scale in order to make
yeah.
enough
Well,
to make this worth it.
Hashnote is up over $1 billion. The Biddle Fund is up over $1 billion as well. So, but they're two funds that are part of the entire asset class of real world
Mhm.
assets on chain right now is 18 billion. Tiny, drop in the bucket.
Yeah. It's
Alejandro and I talked
still,
about this a couple of weeks ago. It's so
yeah,
small.
it's still quite small. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
So no, it's interesting. It's just, I'm like, ooh, I think you need, like, where's your insurance? Like, you could lose your shirt
you,
on that
you,
if you're not,
you can,
careful.
I mean, just look at Silicon Valley Bank, right? They had a massive
Yes.
whipsaw effect from rates, and that screwed them over. And remember, USDC, they
Mhm.
had deposits at Silicon Valley Bank, and USDC, the stablecoin, dropped from $1 down to like 85 cents, I think, maybe 90
Yep.
cents, because there was
It was
that,
88 at one point. I watched it. I was at 88 at one point, and I'm like, oh no, that's
yeah,
not good.
because that threat of what is backing the stablecoin may not actually
Exactly.
be full value. Because
Uh-huh.
if you weren't able to get the deposits back out of Silicon Valley Bank. Now that was shored up in a matter of days, but still, that's a reality
It's
with
still
some of this stuff.
yeah. With the 24/7 trading day, a couple of days, people panic, and especially in an industry like this, people panic on an accelerated time frame.
Yeah. And now I haven't gone to the depths and into the detail of the market infrastructure bill in the US, but it feels like
Yeah.
that will start moving things in the right direction here and making and redefining what it means to be an asset under, the Investment Company Act and the SEC Act
Mhm.
going back to the 1930s and 40s. And the expectation is that the US will go deeper and further than Mika has in Europe. Mika is only
Yep.
scratching the surface, and that whatever comes out of the US will then be brought overseas back for Mika 2.0
Maybe.
is the expectation.
I don't know.
But the
I
stablecoin
don't know.
stuff
Yeah.
in Europe right now is ridiculous. Like, you
Yeah.
need 60% held in cash, in pure cash.
Ouch.
That doesn't work.
Ooh.
That doesn't work in
No,
the
that
stablecoin
doesn't
model.
work.
And that's why there's only something like 230 million worth of euro denominated stablecoins out there compared to the 230 billion in USD denominated. So anyway, last point on stablecoins. Wyoming State is gearing up towards launching a stablecoin this year. Have you ever been to Wyoming?
I have not.
It's lovely.
No. I've only been to the coasts because as I told you when we went to New York, this is like the third time I've only ever been to America.
Yeah.
Went to California. I went to Maine, drove over the border to Maine, got terrified because I saw too many guns, and then turned around and was home. People are going to laugh at me for this, but I was 18 years old. It absolutely terrified me. And I've hunted, throughout my life, but that's just way too many guns for me. People were
Okay.
carrying, they're on their truck. And I was like, that's not normal. Is he a criminal? Are we going to get shot? Like, I don't understand. So we turned around and went home.
Wow.
And then I went to Miami for a conference. That conference where BitBoy started screaming at that lady. And then I went to California with my husband because he was working. And then I went to New York for
Wow.
Techstars. That's it. That is the extent of my American exploration.
Yeah. Well, I think I've been to Canada like 3 times. So,
Yes.
same boat. I've been to Toronto.
Toronto. There you go.
Probably about 3 times, maybe 4. And I've been to Quebec City once.
Oh, you went to
And-
Waterloo. You went to Kitchener,
Well,
Waterloo.
Waterloo
Don't
is
count
part
that
of
out.
Toronto, isn't it?
No, it's
No,
not.
I know,
No,
I
it's
know,
4
I know.
hours away, man.
It was a long drive. It was a very long
That
drive.
was a long drive.
Jesus. So back to Wyoming, and I've been there to Jackson Hole because a friend of mine still lives in Victor, Idaho, which is right over the border. So Victor, Idaho is where everybody lives if you're working in Jackson Hole, because it's cheaper to live over the border in Idaho.
Okay, yeah, got it.
And so Wyoming is saying that they will launch a stablecoin this year, but a quick look said that it could be deemed illegal, in that the U.S. Constitution assigns the power to coin money exclusively to
doesn't matter.
Congress and explicitly prohibits states from coining money or issuing bills of credit. It's a legal gray area, though, right? Like, because
No, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Trump
because
wants it. Yeah, he doesn't care. I'm sorry. Like, he
totally,
just won't.
totally.
He won't. He won't. It's like, whatever. And Pam Bondi will come out and say these are activist judges, and Elon Musk will go and hold a recall vote and get rid of the judge.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's the playbook here. That's what's playing out. Like, oh, sorry, your Supreme Court. Oh, you don't like it? Your Supreme Court will now be, primaried, or you'll be removed.
I'm like, and stepping back from all of this and seeing all these different stablecoins being proposed, I'm thinking of a project I worked on years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago at this point, with a European player that was an e-money institution, and they were responding to a request for a proposal from it might have been the ECB, or it was the FCA, one of the others, in saying, hey, give us a proposal for a CBDC, for a central bank digital currency, and how it could operate. And they were saying, listen, the Fed or the main sovereign entity does not want to be issuing digital assets, because then you open up a relationship between that main sovereign entity and consumers. Do you want that to say, hey, my transaction didn't settle, or, where's my password? That type of stuff. You don't want to support that. So their proposal was to build a machine and then lease it out to each one of the commercial banks and let the commercial banks each issue their own. And that was, viewed as an alternate model here. Now, I think we've gone past CBDCs, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea. Let's not do that. But could this whole stablecoin model of letting commercial banks issue their own stablecoins, but the main thing of this other model with CBDCs from 5 years ago was that things were fungible. And that if JP Morgan issued a digital dollar or digital euro, and Barclays issued a digital euro, that I could hold those two things in my wallet in the same way that I could hold a euro right now, where if I look on the back of a €2 coin, if it's been minted in Ireland, I can see that. If it's been minted in Italy, I can see that. If it's been minted in Spain, I can see that. I could go through all 27 countries, but I won't. And that it doesn't matter. When I go to pay for something with that €2 coin, it doesn't matter whether it was minted in Italy or Ireland or Spain or whatever. And so that was the whole approach here. So could a Wyoming stablecoin and a Fidelity stablecoin and a World Liberty Financial stablecoin all be deemed to be fungible and interchangeable between each other as long as they're all issued or they're pegged to the US dollar? I don't think so, because the problem is what's underlying those assets. And what is the transparency of what's underlying those assets? Is it an SVB situation? Like you said, what could it be? I don't think we're going to reach that fungibility. And that is why I think we need this market infrastructure bill in the US to start leveling the playing field here.
It will be fungibility in theory or in legality, and it'll end up working like getting Scottish pounds and then trying to use them in Britain proper, which they look at you and go, no, that's not real. And I'm like, yes, it is. It's issued, but that's Bank of Scotland. We don't take those. But legally, they are absolutely fungible. They're replaceable, no problem. This is legal tender. That's kind of what my mind would go to. Like, yeah, it'll say that, but then banks will be like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
That's, we don't recognize that. And I think that will go back to the political landscape. All the money I got in Edinburgh, that in London they were telling me, or actually in the Lake District, they were telling me, yeah, no, we don't want that foreign currency. And I went, these are pound sterling. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And they just were refusing to accept it.
But listen, that's the problem with fiat currency or paper money as it is anyway.
Well, ours is plastic, so you guys is still paper. Well, I don't know, not Ireland, but yeah, we have plastic.
I love the feel of it.
It's half and half. So I think Australia copied ours. Look, Australia is completely plastic.
Yeah.
Ours is almost fully plastic. It's like paper and polymer.
I love the little see-through ones. I saw that in New Zealand.
Yeah, we have
ago.
that. Yeah, we've had that in certain parts of the completely see-through. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. So cool. Listen, last couple of things for us to round out on here, Laura. So we have a big thing happening here in Ireland. The first Crypto Mondays Ireland that we did back on March 10th went really well. And we got a great crowd there. And it was just let the conversations happen. Let people who haven't spoken with each other before across Web 2 and Web 3, let them talk, to the point where Alejandro and I are going to do another one on April 7th. And I said, listen, we'll do a fireside chat, you and me. Alejandro has some news to share on Solana and what's happening in Ireland with Solana. And he said, Pete, let's maybe do it. Let's maybe not. If the conversations are happening and people are engaging and having a good time, don't stop the music. Just let people continue to talk. And I said, okay. So I purposely put in the event announcement that Alejandro and I are going to be having a super fast fireside chat, because that super fast may be 30 seconds long, or we may not do it at all. So we'll see how that goes. But our next big one will be in May, on the 26th of May, which is immediately following ETH Dublin, where Vitalik Buterin will be speaking, as well as Stani Kulichov from Aave will be there as well. Yes. So that will be good to have the two of them there. And I think the ETH Dublin team will be getting more speakers signing up for that off the back of those two notable folks. And did you see Sam Bankman-Fried is no longer friends with Diddy? I know that was paywalled.
Well, I mean, that's breaking my heart there. He's still shopping for a pardon?
He is still shopping for a pardon. And he's saying, hey, Ross Ulbricht got one. Why can't I? And he's like, well, Ross served 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, you give it a bit of time, Sammy. And he's at a transfer facility in
Yeah.
Oklahoma. He wants to get closer to mommy and daddy. And
Is this man 30 yet? Like, seriously? Is he 30
he's
yet?
got some
Or-
problems, I think.
I,
So
I get that, but like, come on.
I know, no, he doesn't need to be closer.
It's disturbing.
Exactly.
You're in jail, for God's sakes. Like, accept it. You're in jail.
He is in jail.
Deal with it.
I know. Last two things. Big celebration. FDIC said that banks don't need prior approval for crypto activities, which this just came out yesterday, that banks no longer need to say to the FDIC, hey, we're going to be providing bank accounts for those that are operating in crypto, or we're going to perhaps experiment with a stable coin, or we're perhaps going to work on tokenized deposits or tokenized treasuries. And banks don't need to let the FDIC know that they're doing those types of things. So
well, that's good.
There are some that say that transfers over to how other countries kind of operate, and that banks in other countries will say, oh, I need to wait for my regulator to say it's okay for me to experiment in crypto or in tokenized assets, or I need to write to my regulator in said country and say, I'm doing this, and wait for them to say yes or no. I think it now, hopefully this FDIC measure will say, listen, just go do what you want. We're not going to take any, control of this anymore. So I was happy to see that.
Movement.
Finally, 23andMe is perhaps going to be acquired by the SEI Foundation, SEI, the blockchain. And this was covered on the Brink podcast. And I am repeating it because I'm that interested in it. Obviously, we had Genobank in the Techstars Web3 class of 2024. Shout out to Daniel Uribe. And he was basically saying, listen, we have all of this DNA data that you don't own and you don't control, and it's in these places that is not safe. So let's allow you to own that and allow you to own that attached to a token. You own that token in your digital wallet. And he's been working on that and saying, listen, this will allow you to get easier access to, hey, can we run algorithms on your DNA to see what congenital diseases or hereditary things, conditions that you may be subject to, and get an early head start on being able to diagnose those things, which is a wonderful use case for all of this.
It is.
But 23andMe, obviously they had all the scandal around their database being hacked.
Yes.
And that is exactly the problem, that who can get a hold of this data and perhaps do
what are they using
very
it
bad
for?
things.
They're thinking legality is just crime. Here, I mean, I guess it sounds a bit like a crime novel, but they're finding people. If you're finding people's DNA in a crime scene, was it planted? I don't know. Can it be replicated? Now I'm in the conspiracy theory area, and I don't want to be baking. But they could just do nasty things, or they could just profit off it.
Yep.
For no reason. I've never done a 23andMe.
Me neither.
But I did the National Geographic Genome Project.
Okay.
Which they closed down in, I think, 2012, 13, no, 15, I think, 15, 16, I think they closed it down. But I don't know what they did with the data after that.
Where did you get traced back to? Where'd you get traced back to? Africa, like the rest of us?
My haplograph. Yeah, Africa. But there's 2% Siberia, and I don't know where that came from.
Ooh.
That's just a weird outlier.
The land bridge to Canada.
I think maybe, but no, it's very northern. I would say Europe, but no, it's northern England and Ireland. But this again, it's just, I'm female, so you can only trace your mother's side.
Yeah.
So there's Spanish, French, Irish, and then, oh, hey, by the way, Siberia. And I went, what? So it traced your haplograph, like where you've migrated from and to. So yeah, Africa to here. And then they split off and went there. And it was pretty cool. That part I find really cool because they're tracing everybody, not just, hey, here's my DNA. Who am I related to in, Oklahoma or something? I think that's just opening a lot of secrets and breaking up families. But we'll see.
I know. And I think the CoinDesk article was saying, listen, this isn't very likely that SEI will be acquiring this. And obviously if they acquire it, the motivation there is that you have
what?
It's on-chain activity. It's on-chain activity. Now the guys on the Brink podcast were like, well, once you do your genome, do you then do it again and again? No.
Yeah, like why?
No, but I think if someone is going to actually go through all the trouble of acquiring this and put it on their blockchain, they're going to find a way for that to generate transactions, which is what, drives the value of transactions going through. So,
but the privacy, I mean, the terrifying thing is if it's acquired by private equity, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
that's terrifying.
I don't know what's going to happen to this thing, but I'm glad I never did 23andMe. So, and
yeah, I didn't either.
I'm just going to leave my my genome where it is. I don't,
it's here.
Yes.
We're good.
We're good. Okay. Listen, we went through a lot today, Laura, in a very sometimes frantic manner that I get very excited about things. So thank you for entertaining my process as we go through this. I appreciate it.
No worries. I'm a rabid freak of a raccoon anyhow. It's how my brain works. So I'm right there with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
That does it for this week, folks, and you can learn more about the topics we covered in the show notes on our website, moneyneversleeps.ie. Thanks to Laura Walsh for the awesome insights she shared in co-hosting this episode with me. If you like what you heard, please leave us a rating and a review on Spotify, Apple, or on moneyneversleeps.ie/rate. Thanks to Conan Brophy from Create Sound for mixing and editing this episode. Conan is an excellent media man to work with on your own podcast. As for me, I'm an early-stage startup investor in the next version of the internet, and I lead the Techstars Web3 Accelerator. There are plenty of links in the show notes on moneyneversleeps.ie and how to get in touch, so don't hesitate to reach out. Finally, till next time, thanks for listening. See ya!